2022 was a disastrous start for Brent Venables' time as the head coach at Oklahoma, but things can be turning around very, very quickly in 2023. Now, I know 2022 was way below expectation for what Oklahoma fans were used to when Lincoln Riley was there. But now, Brent Venables has had a year to recoup the roster, one that was pretty heavily depleted by the departure of Lincoln Riley. He has had the opportunity to attack the transfer portal to pull an already top rated recruiting class in 2023. Those bodies are going to help set up Brent Venables to compete in this upcoming season and in the future. Now, if you're worried about the way that they played defensively, which was a big, big issue for them last season, first of all, it was going to be hard for them to make a total and complete 180 after having a roster that wasn't really built to play good competitive defense in a conference that does not typically play competitive defense. And on top of that, Brent Venables' success as a defensive coordinator at Clemson was buoyed by the fact that it had so many talented defensive linemen that were eventually going on to be first-round picks. He didn't have any of those bodies on his roster last year, but he's already going after and trying to build this defense the way that he envisions it. And one of the ways that he started was going and getting Deshaun McCullough, who is an explosive edge rusher who played at Indiana, who originally probably would have been recruited to play at a much bigger program had he not made that decision to go play for a team where his dad was on the coaching staff. He did also get other bodies that are going to help bolster that defensive line. But one of the reasons why I'm optimistic is the way that Jeff Lebby had this offense moving. And a lot of their issues last season were not because their offense wasn't working and that Dillon Gabriel wasn't a competent and good quarterback. It was because of injuries that held them back. So if everybody's back and fully healthy for Oklahoma, their offense is going to work well. And hopefully this Brent Venables defense is going to be up to par, at least close to what we're used to seeing what he was able to do in his time at Clemson. But if we are able to predict, as we've been doing so far this offseason, how they're going to do in 2023, let's go through their schedule. Now, I'm going to say this first of all. They have the easiest schedule out of any of the Big 12 teams. Go look at all the other Big 12 teams. Go look at the articles that compare strength of schedule. And one of the key things that always pops out is that Oklahoma has one of the easiest schedules, if not the easiest schedule out of all of the Big 12 teams. Not saying that as a knock on Oklahoma. This is actually quite favorable for Oklahoma to have a massive year, and a big reason why I'm high on them this upcoming year. So let's look at these games and how they're going to do. Starting off the season, first game is against Arkansas State. Easy W, G5 team, don't even think twice. They then turn around and play SMU and then travel to play at Tulsa. Both games that should be easily winnable. There is no reason why they should lose those. So a 3-0 start is highly likely for Oklahoma. Their first Big 12 game then is up against Cincinnati, traveling to Cincinnati. I don't know what Cincinnati is going to be like in their first year in the Big 12, but with a new head coach now that Luke Fickell is gone, I don't think that they're going to be at that same level of dominance where they could put up a fight with mid-tier to high-level P5 teams. So I think that this first year under Scott Satterfield, I'm not going to lean towards Cincinnati. Give me Oklahoma in this game. That puts them at 4-0. They then go on to play Matt Campbell's Iowa State team, who has been down over the last couple of years. I'm not afraid of them. Give me the 5-0 start for Oklahoma. Now, I've said this on other programs. Texas is a winnable game. But if there is a game that they lose in 2023, and I do not think that Oklahoma will go undefeated, it is just too difficult to go undefeated without having an elite roster like one that Georgia has. That being said, I think that they lose to Texas still. I think it is going to be a lot closer than it was last year, but they're still going to lose to Texas just because they have a little bit more athletes on that team, especially on the offensive side of the football. But again, give me a close game, and things always happen. You know, a lot of crazy stuff happens in this game. So Texas wins that one. That gives them a 5-1 start to the season. They then take on UCF at home. Another new team. I'm unsure of how they're going to play the first time in the Big 12, but I'm not afraid of them in Oklahoma's case. 6-1 is their record after they beat UCF. They then travel to play at Kansas, and I know Kansas was fun last year, and they were surprising, and they did a lot of great stuff, but Oklahoma is going to be back on their feet. Kansas is a defeatable team. 7-1 is then their record. Oklahoma State, another big rivalry game at Oklahoma State. I was debating if I thought that this was going to be another loss for them because they're traveling to play at Oklahoma State. But if we're being honest with ourselves, this is going to be a down year for Oklahoma State. Their roster is very depleted. We were all juiced up on them at the beginning of last year, and then they tapered off very quickly. And that roster was pulled apart in the portal. I'm not that high on Oklahoma State. Not saying that they're not going to have a winning record, but in this one-on-one matchup, Oklahoma is going to win this football game. That then gives them an 8-1 record. West Virginia after that, who they then play at home. West Virginia is going to be a mess next year. 9-1 for Oklahoma. This is going to be a one that is going to be highly debated in the comments, but I think traveling to BYU is going to be a sneaky loss for Oklahoma. It is a very weird, hard place to play. I'm not saying that BYU is going to step in and dominate in the Big 12. I just think that if Oklahoma has a random loss and they don't go have an amazing season with one loss, BYU is a random game for them to lose. So that then places them at 9-2. And then lastly, TCU. I think things are going to be a little cooled off for TCU. They're going to beat all the beatable mid-tier teams in the Big 12, but they're going to lose to the top teams. So that then gives Oklahoma a 10-2 regular season record, which should realistically place them in contention for a Big 12 title game. If not, if they lose and there's a tiebreaker between them and Texas, they'll just be on the outside and they're going to get a big opportunity to play in a big bowl game. If you disagree with me, drop a comment below. Let me know how you think their schedule is going to be and what their final record will be at the end of the season. I just want to tell you folks about an exciting new partnership that we have with this channel with Underdog Fantasy. Ever since I joined, I've been having so much fun. There are so many different exciting games that make watching games during the offseason more exciting. I'm not the biggest basketball fan, but it has made it way more entertaining since I found Underdog Fantasy. And my favorite game to play so far, which I think you should try out, is Pick'em. It is so easy to play. Just pick higher or lower on your favorite player's stats, and you can win up to 20 times your money in a single night. Underdog keeps it simple with their easy-to-use website and mobile apps. Pick between 2 and 5 players to fill out your Pick'em slip, get every pick right, and take home some cold, hard cash. Use code HACK, H-A-C-K, HACK, like the name of this channel. Use code HACK to get your first deposit doubled up to $100 by Underdog. Go sign up. You won't regret it. You're going to have a blast. Check out Underdog Fantasy. I also want to tell you folks about our other recurring sponsor that we have on this channel, that being BetOnline, betonline.ag, which has all the updated odds, news, and anything for sports betting. It's my go-to source for when I want to be betting specifically on games. I love betting on college basketball or the NBA, especially, again, during the offseason. Always looking for more fun ways to be focused in on some of these other sports. It's betonline.ag and use promo code BELIEVE50. It's promo code BELIEVE50 to get 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts.